So, happy May Day. And as we are gathering, I will officially welcome us to Fairfax Community Church on this Beltane May Day beautiful celebration today. And so I invite us to kind of just take a deep breath as we gather. And if you have your sacred candles, to then also, okay, so let us take our sacred candles and light them together. And remember that we really are held in the light of the beloved, the light of the divine, and that also links our spirits together with each other. We are held together in the light of love as we gather this morning. So, as we center ourselves here and bring ourselves fully present to this time and place, celebrating spring and the divine, beloved love, let us say together our call to worship written by John Philip Newell. The world is alive with your goodness, O God. It grows green from the ground and ripens into the roundness of fruit. Its taste and its touch enliven my body and stir my soul. Generously given, profusely displayed, your graces of goodness pour forth from the earth. As I have received, so free me to give. Indeed, may we be free to give and share that love that we receive from the divine. So I'll invite us, as you are willing and able, we'll do a little bit of practice this morning, our embodied prayer practice. So as you are able, I invite you to stand. And first, just invite yourself to be present in your body. Maybe kind of shake your body a little bit. Welcome your body to this time and place and space. And then just take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Whoo. Take a deep breath. Let it out with a sigh. Whoo. And then as you breathe, feel your legs like roots, like tree trunk, with roots that go down, down, down into the depths of the earth. And feel your connection there to the Great Mother, to Gaia, to all that fertile earth energy. And then imagine yourself also bringing it up through your legs, through your body, through your torso, and up into the heavens, into the cosmos, and feel your connection there to the moon, the sun, and the stars. And then allow yourself to pop open and feel yourself expanding, bigger than the room that you're in. And then invite yourself to wrap all of that up, wrap yourself up, and give yourself a hug and take in some of that love back into your being. And then, as you are able, I invite you to gently roll over and just gently swing there. Allow yourself to drop your head, and just anything you want to release or let go, just sort of give it back to the earth and just let it go. And you may even want to vocalize a little. Whew. And then slowly roll up again. I invite you just to kind of squirm a little, do a little spine dance where your body needs to wake up this morning. Feel yourself move around, maybe move your hips a little bit in a circle. And let your hips go the other way. Whew. And then just maybe shake out a hand and Shake out another hand and shake out a leg and shake out another leg and shake out whatever you're sitting on and shake out your voice. And so invite us to kind of get into a place and imagine yourself. You're just going to play with some images here for a moment. So just try to feel whatever you feel in your body. First thing. So imagine yourself like a bee. Ooh, buzz, 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 buzz. And you're looking at these, oh, these flowers are so pretty. And oh, this flower is so pretty. And just feel the delight of being a bee, like entranced by the beauty of everything around you. Buzz, 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 buzz. And attracted to the beauty and the colors of everything around you. Notice yourself as the bee. Whew. And then bring that into some place of stillness and just whatever shape feels comfortable for you, feel yourself as the flower. And feel yourself open and receptive to all the sunlight that comes your way, to the gentle breeze, to the buzzing bee. Just feel yourself as the flower, as the one who receives. And then I invite you to perhaps take your hands in a chalice next to your heart, wherever gesture feels comfortable for you, and feel yourself as the honey. And find that divine union place in your own heart, where both the bee and the flower come together to create honey. The honey of divine love, divine nutrients of joy, of goodness, of peace. Allow yourself to take a deep breath and breathe that in, drink that in, and feel the honey of your heart, of the divine beloved singing to you, offering to you unconditional love. And then just gently to bring that out into your hands and allow your hands to offer whatever is needed that wants to be shared. And whatever image comes to you, maybe again changing into butterflies that fly and bless the world. And then bring your hands back to your own heart again and take a deep breath. And you may want to continue standing. I am going to come back to my chair and just breathe that in. And then I'm going to invite us to dance with that love, to share that love through this song. It's a song we've done before. I think of it as a kind of Beltane song. It has the element of fire that is also used in Beltane. And it's, we are the fire burning bright. We are desire in the night, and we long to call love to our lives. Dancing, changing, we are. And we might, I don't want us to get too caught up in that phrase, we long to call love, because the truth is our longings are the way that we connect with the divine presence, right? Our longing is the thing that helps us connect. So in our longing, we also are calling and finding the divine presence. So I'm going to do this one live rather than as a recording. And so you may just want to dance a little, move a little, feel what that feels like in your body, the celebration of spring. And as you're able, I invite you to sing along. We are the fire burning bright. We are desire in the night, and we long to call love to our lives. Dancing, changing, we are. We are the fire burning bright. We are desire in the night, and we long to call love to our lives. Dancing, changing, we are. We are the fire burning bright. We are desire. So again, just take a deep breath. Feel that in the presence of your body and your soul. Feel the enlivening of spring, the energy of the spring fire in your soul, in your heart, and in your being. Blessed be. And so I invite us to once again take that beautiful space into our hearts and into our prayer time. And it might be that our prayer time is a blessing. Where are the places that we want to share blessings and bounty and divine love? What are the things we want to give thanks for and celebrate? Maybe there are places on the earth that we want to either send some love or just give a prayer of thanks for the beauty of the earth. So I will invite us, as is our custom, to pray directly to the divine beloved, the divine presence, to share whatever our prayer is, and then to close by saying, God, in your grace, or Goddess, in your grace, you hear our prayer. So let us share the prayers of the community together today.
To sharing to all my visitors.
Okay, say that then. Say, Alex has a blessing she'd like to share.
Oh,
Talk loud, talk loud.
All my visitors that came to my birthday and surprised me, full of love and sweetness. Yes.
Last Sunday, Alex was 93 years old.
Yeah, that's good.
Look at, they're all clapping. See?
So we give thanks. We give thanks for your birthday, Alex, for your life in this world, and we give thanks for all the blessings that you received from your loved ones. God, in your grace.
And in your grace, you hear our prayers. That she was praying for you, Alex.
Ah,
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I have a happy prayer for a gorgeous place. Creator God, I give deep and abiding thanks for Puerto Vallarta, for Mexico as a whole, and I'm so grateful to be here and right by the ocean, such a healing place. And Mexico is suffering in so many ways for so many reasons, and it's heartbreaking, and at the same time the people are just so beautiful and warm and giving, and so grateful to see at least some tourists back, because that's what they depend on right here. But again, it's such a beautiful place, and I pray for it all, and at the same time have such gratitude. God, in your grace.
You hear our prayers.
Gracious and loving divine presence, I am so grateful for the movement of hope that I experience in people these days. It's springtime. We are getting our vaccinations. And there is a wave of a different energy that just is showing up in small and large ways. And I'm so grateful to feel that hope returning out of a time of so much despair. And even though there are still much to deal with, it's so much easier to deal from a place of hope. And I especially am grateful for this community and the hope that we not only try to rest in for ourselves, but that we consciously and intentionally send this hope out into a suffering world. In your many names, God, in your grace,
You
you
hear.
hear our prayers.
This is Gilda. I had such a joyful morning. Didn't think it would be so joyful because I was digging into books and papers and stuff and my stuff. It wasn't my mother's stuff this time. And I made a promise to my husband that I would, and to myself especially, that I would narrow down what I had. So I had 3 boxes of mementos. In 2.5 hours, I got it down to 1 box. To the ones that were most precious to me, the ones that I go forward looking at. In particular, my high school years, I wrote some journals, and it was delightful to look back to my young self who was concerned about school and my chemistry and boys. And it was just so much fun. And my dog, my little fox terrier. So thank you, God and his grace.
We hear our
Hear
prayers.
our prayers.
Beloved Gaia, beloved ground of being, beloved God, I'm so grateful for spring and for young people in my life and old people in my life. Getting to see my parents this coming week, finally, after so long. And my children launching. I ask for prayers for their peace and steadiness as they approach finals in a challenging time. And I give great thanks for this community of amazing, beloved beings. I'm so grateful for all of this, and in your many names, God, in your grace.
You
Hear
hear
our prayers.
prayers. So I invite us to take these prayers and hold them in our hearts. To imagine them being bathed by the dew of heaven, by the divine nectar of love from the beloved, the unified force of divine energy of which we are all a part. We trust that the Divine One hears all of our prayers. And let us continue to pray as we pray the prayer of Yeshua, also printed in our bulletins. Loving God, within and around us, we revere you. We seek to live life as you would want us to do, with love and respect for all people and all things in the universe. May we find each day sufficient for our needs and find forgiveness when we do wrong, just as we forgive those who do wrong to us. In times of trouble, may we center our lives in you, for your being is love, which comes with strength and with beauty throughout eternity. Amen. So as we have our, is our custom, is there someone who would like to sing the Shema this morning? Okay, thank you. And does someone want to read the Gospel of Philip? Thank you, Ruth. And if someone wants to read the Rumi? Okay, thank you, Lynn. And Casey, if while we're going through the rest of the service, can I just ask you to keep your eye, can you help me? Well, I would have to make you co-host to do that. Never mind. Anyway, if we can all just actually be extra mindful of the mute button today, since I am both hosting and presiding, would really appreciate it.
I'm co-hosting, Kimberly, and
Are you co-hosting? Perfect, thank you. If you could keep an eye on that, that would be awesome. Great, thank you so much. Okay, let us receive the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
A reading from the Gospel of Philip, plate 115. Truth did not come into the world naked, but veiled with images and archetypes. Otherwise, it cannot be received. There is a rebirth through the image of rebirth. One must truly be reborn from this image. This is resurrection. In passing through the image, the bridegroom is led into the truth, which is the renewal of all things in their integrity. This is appropriate for those who not only know the names of Creator, Son, and Spirit, but have integrated them in themselves. The name of Christian is welcomed with anointing in the fullness and energy of the cross, which the apostles call the union of opposites. Then one is not just Christian, one is the Christ. The teacher performed all his works mysteriously, immersing us in water, baptism, anointing us with oil, chrism, making us capable of acts of grace, Eucharist. He freed us and brought us into the bridal chamber. The teacher said, I have come to make the lower realities like the higher realities, and the outer realities like the inner realities. I have come to unite them in this temple space where they reveal themselves through images and symbols.
The second sacred text is the Seven Pearls by Rumi. The lovers will drink wine night and day. They will drink until they can tear away the veils of intellect and melt away the layers of shame and modesty. When in love, body, mind, heart, and soul don't even exist. Become this. Fall in love and you will not be separated again. Do you know what you are? You are a manuscript of a divine letter. You are a mirror reflecting a noble face. This universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you are already that. Tonight is the night. It is the creation of that land of eternity. It is not an ordinary night. It is a wedding of those who seek unity. Tonight, the bride and groom speak in one tongue. Tonight, the bridal chamber is looking particularly bright.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the readings, and as we ruminate on these sacred texts together. I love that Rumi poem, which is where we will end our time together today. But as we have said, we are celebrating Beltane, May Day, which is one of the cross-quarter holidays, or also known as Shabbats or little Sabbaths, between the spring equinox and summer solstice. And I believe there can be great merit in honoring some of these festivals that remind us of the cycles and seasons of the earth and help us be mindful of those rhythms inside of ourselves, which are not incompatible with the greater rhythm and cycle and seasons of even the wider church calendar. We find our place within the earth's rhythms, I believe, as we celebrate these festivals. Also, we know they can be pearls of great spiritual wisdom, which can also help us and guide us on our spiritual journey. And we know that the essence of Beltane is the celebration of the sacred marriage of the god and goddess. It is also the celebration of spring and everything that's starting to come to flower. All that was planted in the spring equinox is starting to bloom. Think about if you've been hiking in the hillsides now, we see the wildflowers, which are so beautiful, and the poppies are blooming. It is, again, another celebration of the fullness of spring. And one of the primary symbols, as you probably know, is the maypole, which itself symbolizes the union of opposites. The pole, and then all those colorful ribbons that come around it. If you've ever danced a maypole, you know it's really fun. It's kind of a little confusing, but you just go over, under, over, under, over, under. But as you do that, you're creating this incredible weave. By the time you're done, there's all these colors that are this beautiful weave that symbolize our intentions and the intentions of the community coming together. So it's a wonderful symbol of the union of opposites being woven together to create something new. Now that might be, in Beltane, it's often symbolized, again, as the sort of sacred marriage or sacred union of the god and goddess. But there's many different ways we can understand that. It's really about the union of the energies of yin and yang, of particle and wave. And as such, it's not just about a male and female pair then. It could also be a same-sex union or transgender union or non-human union. It's about these coming together. Now, by non-human, I mean looking around at all the ways this happens in nature. Think about the flower and all the beautiful pollen in the flower and the bee. This is a coming together, its own kind of union of opposites. And then the bee, as we know, goes back to the hive, and they work together and they create this incredible honey, which is sweet and divine and is a blessing to the world. That's the essence of what we're talking about at Beltane. The coming together of different things to create something, the unified whole, the offering to the earth and to the wider community. The place where this intersection happens, as we will see in the sacred text that we were going to look at today, is often referred to as the bridal chamber. It's the intersection where these different energies come together. And really, ultimately, that happens in the heart, which is also the temple space, where we have the union of opposites. We see that Jesus understood this. I think when we look at Jesus's life, we see how integrated he was. And we also see him teaching about it, especially in the non-canonical texts, or the texts that got left out of the Bible, that didn't make the cut, but were important Christian gospels in their time. And as we know, some of them were hidden away in clay jars and found in a cave in Egypt in 1945, known as the Nag Hammadi. So there's a whole series of texts, often referred to as the Nag Hammadi texts, and the Gospel of Philip is one of them. Philip being the same, believed to be the same disciple Philip in the canonical Gospels. So one of the things that is unique about the Gospel of Philip is one of the primary metaphors throughout the Gospel is the bridal chamber, the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctum, where the opposites come together. And we see this in the passage that was read today. The teacher is Jesus. So Yeshua said, I have come to make the lower realities like the higher realities, and the outer realities like the inner realities. I have come to unite them in this temple space where they reveal themselves through images and symbols. I think this integration makes a kind of a cross that has equal arms, like the Cathar cross that we have here. The outer realities like the inner realities. There are many layers of meaning to that. One can include, I think, the integration of all the disparate parts of ourselves, the parts of ourselves that we don't like and we might be tempted to split off and cut off. We're invited to integrate those into the temple space in order to be whole. In the same way, we're invited to integrate our own selves with our own higher self and with the divine beloved, our own sacred marriage, sacred union also of ourselves with the unity of all creation. There's an intersection where they all meet, which is often referred to as the temple space and also the bridal chamber. Now, as we're talking about this, I just want to highlight that I think Jesus is talking about non-duality at its core. That sacred union is the place where all is one and we experience it as one in wholeness. And he also notes that sometimes duality is the way we get there. He says we're able to receive it through images and archetypes. So I believe we actually need both. There is a path to this journey that includes all of our different spiritual practices that lead us to the inner sanctum, to the temple space, where then we can experience that divine unity and that wholeness. But we need both on our spiritual journey. Again, ultimately, the temple space is the heart of it all. And I believe the temple space is the deep, deep heart where we can come into peace and wholeness. Now, the purpose of this kind of integration, I believe, is in part to make us certainly feel good. It can be incredibly restorative and healing. And it's also, I believe, so that we can create the kind of honey that then is an offering to the world. As we know, when our hearts are whole, when we have healed the judgments within ourselves, then we are able to create the outer reality and have it reflect the inner, or create as above, so below. It's like we were talking about a few weeks ago of doing the work of justice to bring heaven to earth. Or as author Ruth King said in her book, Mindful of Race, hopefully it helps us create a culture of care rather than habits of harm. So this is something that, yes, we do for ourselves and we do for the healing of planet and society, because this kind of sacred reunion creates something new, beautiful, and wonderful, which hopefully, like honey, is a blessing to the world. What I think is fascinating are the number of spiritual teachers in different spiritual traditions that seemed to know this truth. One of them is Saint Teresa of Avila. Some of you may know of her work. She was a 16th century Carmelite nun in Spain. She was a very prolific writer. And one of her books is called The Interior Castle. And she talks about 7 dwellings, or kind of 7 stages in our spiritual journey. But rather than just being like a ladder or an ascent, they're often visualized like concentric circles that lead us deeper and deeper into the heart, or the temple space, which is the 7th dwelling. And she describes the 7th dwelling as a sacred marriage. The place where all comes together in the Holy of Holies of the heart, the deepest place of the heart. And while we are there, we create a kind of fruit that is a blessing for the world. From the interior castle, she says, then you will see how important it is for you to do nothing to thwart the celebration of the spiritual marriage between the beloved and your soul. This is a coupling that will give birth to countless blessings. In certain places, she describes those blessings as a deep peace in the soul that can be shared with others. She says the beloved brings the soul into his own chamber, which is at the center of the soul herself. They say that the highest heaven, where the beloved dwells, doesn't move like other heavens do. That same stillness cradles the soul who enters here. That same stillness cradles the soul. So when we can come into this divine stillness, we can taste that love of the beloved. Now, sometimes it's kind of still and tranquil, and sometimes it's actually, according to Teresa of Avila, quite passionate. We would say even steamy. She often uses the word consummation to describe the sacred union. And that, as you may know, is one of the things that Teresa of Avila is famous for. She was kind of an unconventional nun. She was actually very passionate about her love for God, the beloved. And she used to have rapturous visions that are really, there's no other way to say it, but pretty erotic in nature, as she just felt that divine union in her very body. And as many of you know, that was captured and created in the famous sculpture by Gian Bernini, the Italian sculptor who created the ecstasy of Teresa, which is a sculpture, and we've put the picture of that in the bulletin. And in this sculpture, we see this androgynous angel figure who has this sort of mischievous smile on her face. There is a flaming sword, and the sword is about to enter Teresa. And she has her head tilted back in this expression of complete divine ecstasy. It is deeply sexual in its imagery and erotic. And Teresa holds this without shame. She does not apologize for that. That is how passionate her connection to the divine beloved is. It's actually erotic in nature. And that's one of the things we want to lift up and celebrate actually about Beltane, is in this ancient earth-based pre-Christian festival, there was no shame. No shame about the body or sexuality. There's all different ways that we can understand the divine. And we see the root of that in these sacred texts that we hold up today. Unfortunately, as we know, once Christianity became the religion of empire and was then connected to Roman culture, there was a lot of shame, and still is, unfortunately, in Christianity about the body and about sexuality. And that's really too bad, because I don't believe Jesus had any part of that at all. He was part of Jewish culture that created the Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon is so incredibly beautiful and sensual and without shame. That is the nature of what Teresa of Avila talks about here. It is what the nature of the understanding of the energy of Eros that Clarissa Pinkola Estes says we can use to plant flowers with. It's just part of the life force that can be celebrated. And that's one of the things we celebrate at Beltane. No shame. This is what then leads us back, I believe, to Rumi and his incredibly colorful contribution to this discussion. We are invited then to receive the divine love without shame and without restraint. Like lovers who are drunk on divine love, we're invited to lose our inhibitions, tear away the veils of intellect, and melt away the layers of shame and modesty. It is this beautiful celebration. So we think about that not just outwardly in physical form, but we could also think about where are the places where we inhibit our hearts from receiving this divine love, either because we think we're not good enough or because our heart has been hurt or all sorts of other reasons. But again, Rumi gives us the key. He invites us to remember that we're created in the image of the beloved. And that's where he gives us this beautiful paragraph. Do you know what you are? You are a manuscript of a divine letter. You are a mirror reflecting a noble face. This universe is not outside of you. Look inside of yourself. Everything that you are, that you want, you are already that. We are a reflection of the divine noble face. Now, I can imagine if you're like me, there might be a part of us that wants to protest and say, no, I'm not. I'm not perfect. But if we look at the heart of all the scriptures, sacred texts, they don't actually require us to be perfect. They just require us to be like a flower, receptive. And like the flower and the bee, to create some sort of honey from this divine union that can be shared with the world. So I invite us to just take a deep breath and drink that in. What is it like to receive the divine nectar, the divine wine of love from the beloved? How might your heart open like a flower to receive it and then share it with the world, the fruit of this divine sacred union? Well, I invite us to just take a moment and drink that in. So I'll actually invite us just for a moment, if you will, just close your eyes with me for a moment. So I'd like to lead us in a little guided meditation that can help us integrate, like ribbons on a maypole, integrate all these different teachings into the heart, into the temple space. So invite us again just to take a deep breath, to notice whatever you notice percolating from the different images and stories and poems. Sacred marriage, sacred union. And then I invite you, if you are willing, to go on a little journey with me. And imagine yourself on the edge of a springtime meadow. I invite you to walk a bit into the center of the meadow where there is a clearing. And you notice wildflowers all around you. And you find a comfortable place to sit, maybe even with your back against a tree. And feel yourself grounding and connecting to the earth herself. Notice the smells of springtime. Notice the warmth of the sunlight. Any sounds that you might hear. Notice the bees buzzing around the flowers in the meadow. And into this clearing comes divine, sacred companions that are here to share with you the unconditional love of the beloved. They're here to support you. So notice who comes into your inner sacred circle. It might be Yeshua, might be Mary Magdalene, some other embodiment of the beloved, might also be an animal companion. Their sole purpose is to remind you that you are loved. You don't need to do anything to deserve that. And so they shower you with wave after wave of unconditional love. And if you notice any block to that coming up, I invite you just to imagine it dissolving and melting away back into the earth. And to just take a deep breath. And if it feels right to perhaps imagine your heart like a flower, opening, receiving this nectar of the divine beloved who loves you. Whatever image helps you do that. These sacred companions are here to remind you. The earth herself is here to remind you that you are a child of the beloved, a reflection of a noble face. Breathe that into your heart and let it circulate through your whole body. And just rest there for a moment. In that inner temple space, the Holy of Holies of your own heart. And then notice if any honey emerges of divine love that you would like to share or that might continue to help you heal your body and soul and spirit. Invite us again to take a deep breath. And then to thank Mother Earth for this deep divine connection, which does not disappear even if we're not always aware of it. To thank your guides and companions. To thank the flowers and the bees and the blue sky. And then to gently make your way back to where you are sitting now, to your own room. And to bring your awareness back to your body, back to your breathing, back to your heart. And just to allow that divine resonance to continue in your body. Notice where you notice it in your body. And if you don't notice anything, that's fine too. But I invite us just to hold that awareness for a moment. And then as you feel ready, invite us again to bring our awareness back to the community. And then to just notice, is there anything that percolated for you, either in the different readings of the sacred texts, or the meditation, or just this concept of sacred union with the divine beloved? And if you have something you'd like to share, invite us just to raise your hand and then unmute yourself, and we can share the wisdom of the community of the hive. Yes, Casey, and then Kimberly.
It's a little hard to come back to words after that beautiful, amazing guided meditation. Thank you for that and the whole sermon and service. And I love feeling myself a bee and a flower and the honey and I love in the meditation feeling what spontaneously arose was Yeshua and Mary Magdalene embracing me, and then kind of dissolving into the union, me dissolving into the union that they create. And a sense of the nectar, the divine nectar that spreading out throughout everywhere. And on a personal note, the spiritual name I was given 30 years ago in India was Amrita, which means divine nectar, or
Nice.
ambrosia of the infinite, the non-dual of all. And I'm having a renewed taste of that today. Thank you so much for all.
Yay, we celebrate that. We celebrate the Amrita. Perfect for Beltane. Thank you.
Thank you for the beautiful service today. And my mom raised us to be so loving of nature, and being with her at this spring is so precious. She's in her 90th year. And it's so wonderful to feel the rapture of beauty and nature. We went into the redwoods just out Lucas Valley yesterday to gather sweet woodruff and took it home to make May wine. And it was the first time I had the opportunity of my mom being here to do that. And even in a half hour, it was so fragrant. And it was so wonderful to feel the magic of the forest and bring it home for our spring meal. And I love the metaphor of the flower, because it reminds me of how each plant has its unique bark and leaves and twines and vines and fragrance. And I feel how wonderful a metaphor that is for each of us to rise to the sun, to face the sun, to open our petals, and to each have our own unique fragrance. So I too love Beltane and celebrate it. And this was beautiful. And it's wonderful to have a loving community circle to share it with. So thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for reminding us of the various ways we can connect with nature around us, including May wine. And what you shared also reminds me that we know that honey has different taste depending upon what flowers are used or what part of the world it comes from too, right? So all of this, comes together to remind us of that so beautifully. Thank you.
And Kimberly, I love the way you blended the sacred and the erotic today into one beautiful whole. It's, I think, what many of us have been longing for. Growing up with, as many of us have, with kind of shame about sex and those feelings. It's just so refreshing and so healing. It's one of the reasons I love these pagan rituals. And it's nice that, it's wonderful that I don't have to leave the Christian community because of you and others like you who are open to all of it. And just weave it into one beautiful whole.
Yes.
I'm grateful.
Oh.
And this was just, such a beautiful, beautiful service this morning. So glad to be here.
Thank you, Galia, and thank you for lifting that up. And I think what we're all invited to remember is the word pagan simply means of the earth, right? And so, and that this can be a pathway to sacred consciousness. It's not sexuality is separate from spirituality. That's not what we've been taught in Christianity post Constantine. But Jesus himself didn't behave that way. All these early writings prove that no, this was a pretty unified whole. That it's not one or the other. One of the paths to consciousness, as Hinduism is known for centuries, right? This is a path. The erotic is part of spiritual consciousness. It's not somehow less than or other or shamed. This is also a literal sacred marriage. It's a both and. So yes, 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 yes to what everybody's saying. We need more of this in Christianity to heal, because we carry a lot of shame in our bodies that affects us. So, but it's not coming from Jesus. Not one word did he say about to shame sexuality in any of the canonical gospels. So that we made that up later. That's a whole human thing. It's not a God thing. So yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I've been reading this wonderful book, Mary, a love story, and the message and story of Mary Magdalene by Mary Magdalene.
Nice.
It's absolutely, well, it's just so fabulous. It's really about, Mary Magdalene tells the story, and the author does make a disclaimer that it's not based on any of the Gospels, but yet there are a lot of biblical quotes in it too. And it does follow the, Jesus' life as we know it from the Bible. But on the other hand, Mary Magdalene shares her deep, deep, passionate love for Jesus, and Yeshua, and how they, loved each other passionately.
Great, thank you. Maybe you can put that resource in the chat, and we can.
Yes, I will. Yes, it's so
Yeah.
it's so juicy.
Yes, we do just want to note that the Gospel of Philip that I read from today is the gospel that talks about Mary and Jesus actually kissing.
Oh, I love that.
And made so famous. So yes.
Yeah.
Great. Maybe we can have that resource. Thank you so much, Cindy. We'll invite us all just to take a deep breath and to, again, just really drink that in. And I'm going to do my best. Actually, this is a beautiful song that I would love to share with you all. The image on the screen will not change, but the words. This is a community called Beautiful Chorus, and they're an amazing choir of beautiful voices. And so I think the essence of this, to me, the essence of the words and the rhythm, talk about what we're talking about, the union that ends up in the I am. So you might want to, the words are going to be on the screen, but you also might want to dance or move a little as you're moved. But I invite us to take this in as part of the integration of everything that we've just talked about. And I'm going to unfortunately need to play it and then rewind it here, so just bear with me for 1 second. Wonder, brilliance and grace, welcome joy, satisfaction, pleasure and strength, welcome essence, beauty, presence, time, spirit, form and space, welcome excellence in every blessing, sacred and praise. What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. Oh, I wish I could, but I can't. Who I wanna be, I am. What I seek, I am. Here we go. Oh, I understand. Oh, I wish I could, but I can't. Who I wanna be, I am.
Satisfaction, pleasure, and strength. Welcome, essence, beauty, presence, time, spirit, form, and space. Welcome, excellence, and every blessing, sacred and praise. What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. Oh, I wish I could have again. What I wanna be, I am. What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. Oh, I wish I could again. Oh, I wanna be, I am. I am the seed, I am the tree. I am the flower, I am the bee. I am fire and I am wind. I accept love and also I give. I am loud and I am mighty. I am silent and I tread lightly. I am brave and monumental. I am
So again, let us just take a deep breath and drink all that in to receive the I am that is in our hearts and our temple spaces. All that we seek is already here. We are the bee and the flower, the tree and the sunshine. Let us deeply receive that wisdom and knowledge and knowing into the depths of our body and the depths of our being. And then let us close with our collective Celtic blessing. May the light of God, the beloved, illuminate the heart of my soul and all of our souls. May the flame of Christ kindle me to love. May the fire of the Spirit free me to live with wild abandon today, tonight, and forever. And let us sing together our closing song, imagining ourselves in a circle, lifting our hands. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. May we go in peace to receive and share honey. Pleasant be.
Pleasant be.
Yay!
Anything else? I think we should.
Okay, you are mute. Are you muted, Casey? I can't hear.